to Tabula Rasa, bitches!
Hello, hello.
Hello.
My name is Allie, and my pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Nick, and my pronouns are he, him.
And welcome to Season 2, Episode 22 of Tabula Rasa, bitches!
In Tabula Rasa, bitches, your two co-hosts discuss and dissect Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a show that bonded them together so many years ago. This, yeah.
Interrupting.
Has it been in the middle of my intro? You bitch.
Sorry.
You Tabula Rasa, bitch. In this episode, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 22, Becoming, Part 2. Allie, I just came clean to all of my coworkers about the podcast we have together. So if any of my coworkers are listening to this, hey guys.
I am personally offended that you feel like it was something that you had to come clean about.
Well, I wanted to make sure that we had a library available to people, like a nice...
Solid 2 seasons.
The adjective that you used in our first episode was girthy. In our first episode ever, I wanted to make sure there was a nice girthy library for folks to get through once they, listen to one episode. And yeah, thanks. And, as you just referenced, Allie, this is the final episode of Season 2 that we're going to be discussing. What a time it's been.
What a time.
For new listeners to folks who have been with us all along, what would be really helpful is if you don't even have to hit pause. You can just, do it while you're listening right now, but head over to wherever you're listening to this podcast and leave a rating or review. And it would be so helpful in helping other folks learn about this podcast as well.
Yeah. And give us a share. We're also on the socials. You'll get all that info down at the end of the episode. But yeah, share, talk about us. Text your friends next time that they say, hey, anybody got a recommendation? Yeah, you do. You there.
Yeah, you sure do. You gorgeous person. You do have a recommendation. And Allie, we've made it through 2 seasons of this glorious TV show.
It is unbelievable. I can't. Oh my goodness. It's so unreal. I mean, I work in podcasting professionally, so it's like, of course I have a podcast, but it's also like, oh my God, I finally have a podcast. And we're actually following through with recording and doing it. Crazy.
We sure are. We've done 34 episodes now. I'm so proud of us.
Hot damn. And we guested on other people's shows and
stuff.
We've Shout out Buffy Gays.
Yeah. Oh, it's been so fun. And we've made new friends ourselves and, gotten to host other people. And man, I'm just very proud of us. And it's been so much fun working with you on this, Allie.
I agree. I really appreciate all of the grace you've afforded me all this time with our work.
Girl, back at ya.
Love you very much.
Love you too. Now, I'm done being nice to you. Will you jump into our episode summary for us?
I can. As usual, we'll do our best to avoid spoilers beyond this episode, but we'll be discussing today's episode, spoilers and all. The episode starts where the last one ended. Police attempting to apprehend Buffy, who is shocked by the sight of her injured and murdered friends. Buffy gets away, catches up with everyone at the hospital, and realizes that Giles has been kidnapped. On the way back to her house, Buffy finds an unlikely alliance with Spike. Yay, he's back. Who wants to run away with Drew and not see Angel bring around the end of the world? Makes sense. Buffy's forced to come clean to her mom about being the Slayer, and they have a heated argument which ends with Joyce saying, "You walk out of this house, don't even think about coming back." Meanwhile, Giles has been tortured and finally gives up the secret to unlocking Akatha after Drusilla hypnotizes him into thinking he's talking to Jenny.
Buffy shows up to confront Angel, aided by Spike, who knocks out a henchman and runs away with Drusilla. Buffy is distracted by several vampires, and Angel removes the sword from Akatha, starting the process of pulling the world into hell. Angel and Buffy have an epic sword fight, and just as she's about to deliver the final blow and kill Angel, Willow successfully restores Angel's soul. Buffy and Angel have a heartbreaking reunion, but Buffy is forced to stab Angel to reverse Akatha's ritual and save the world. Angel stares confusedly at Buffy while he's sucked into hell. The next morning at school, the gang wonders where Buffy is, while Buffy watches from afar and boards a bus as she runs away from Sunnydale.
Woof.
Woof! What a season finale.
Yeah, definitely. It has a lot of the great hallmarks of a season finale with like picking up off of a cliffhanger, kind of dropping off at a cliffhanger. Like, what's going to happen? She's leaving Sunnydale. But we'll get there. So my first note of the episode is, okay, now Sunnydale cops do their job?
Yeah, right. The cops have chosen now to respond to the incident of violence at the school, and
the sheer number of times that there's been a fight go down in the school, in that library, and never like I never would have thought about it without this episode where I'm like, oh yeah, the cops never show up. No one ever calls the cops. Like, there's no alarm set off that like someone's at the school randomly at midnight that shouldn't be there. Like, and now, come on.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that point before. Yeah, kind of the worst time for them to intervene. And Snyder's right later on when he calls the cops of Sunnydale deeply stupid.
Yeah. So, speaking of calling people names, my first quote of the episode is, "You stupid little troll, you have no idea."
Yeah,
Buffy says that to Snyder.
Yeah, and it's just so well timed. Like, Snyder does not take a single beat before blaming her, and
Yeah.
that's a good insult. You stupid little troll.
I know, it's pretty great. Okay, but so also, why was Snyder there? So like, did Snyder call the cops? So much shit goes on at this school at just like now.
Yeah.
And also, I had a thought, like, does Snyder know? Because Snyder is clued into what's going on in Sunnydale. He talks about the mayor, who we know stuff. We'll find out next season. Spoiler. So Snyder knows about vampires and stuff. And maybe doesn't know like every breed of demon in Sunnydale, but he knows shit goes down. So theoretically, the mayor, who would be at the top of this, because all the time he says like, "Oh yeah, do you want me to tell the mayor about like the situation going on?" And they're like, "Oh no, of course we'll cover it up." Blah blah blah. The mayor, you would think, is clued in to everything with Sunnydale, and isn't it like sort of common knowledge, common through the grapevine, that Buffy Summers is the Slayer? Like by name, isn't she known as the Slayer?
Yeah, Snyder has to know. And even later on in this episode,
I think later on is when I had it in my notes because I'm not seeing it up here at the top, but Snyder was fresh in my brain.
Yeah, I think Snyder definitely knows. I remember at one point, me and you, Allie, were like, yeah, he's not really a great guy, but kind of see where he's coming from. And I think it's pretty clear by this point that he's just a bad guy and an agent of chaos, and not,
absolutely,
you know.
I have a quote later on from him that definitely shows the like, okay, now we're past the point of you like being reasonable in this circumstance. Like, I know that she starts fights and stuff, but like even just looking at the evidence of her over Fork. Kendra, thank you. I was thinking Cassandra. Kendra, there's no blood, there's no like, he's just so clearly jumping to conclusions. And then later basically says like, it doesn't really matter if it's you. I'm glad to have you out of the way. Like, whoa.
Yeah, willfully jumping to conclusions. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's wow.
I want to note that Buffy kicks the ass of a cop. Good for her. Runs away. And then another cop shoots at her. This episode gets dark real quick.
And it definitely hits different in 2023.
Yeah.
And as a nearly 30-year-old with more knowledge of the world than I was last time, you know, when I was first seeing these episodes, hits different.
Yeah. They shoot at a teenage girl who is running away from her. Wow.
Yep.
Man, you cops are assholes.
Yep. So then she's at the hospital and she's in her incognito look, which
oh my God, I wrote down the same thing.
It's so overly incognito that it's kind of cognito.
The fugitive look is so overdone. It's like we've looped back around.
Yeah.
To
right.
Yeah, she's got like the hat and like a big oversized coat, and she's slinking around.
She's like an all black. Like,
right. It's like, don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. John Ralphio, I love you. Yeah, and a moment that kind of hits me. So she first sees Xander, and she makes an innuendo joke at Xander, and Xander doesn't smile, doesn't laugh at her joke, and that's when you're like, oh, shit is serious. Because, like, of course, you and I know the state of Willow, but it's definitely, that is a really special moment if you don't know that Willow's in a coma, because then that's the tell. Like, oh, if Xander's not laughing at jokes, what is going on?
Yeah, Xander's not playing with the innuendo. Yikes, this is serious. I wrote down that, so obviously I didn't watch this as it aired, and obviously during this recent rewatch I did, I knew what was going to happen, but I was just thinking about if I had been watching this for the first time and I saw Willow where she is right there, and there was all this uncertainty about what was going to happen with her, I would be ruined, because it's like the season 2 finale, like a season finale makes sense when a character might be killed off or something.
That's
and
true.
We've seen in Buffy that they will kill characters off, and man, I would just be so anxiety filled, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And especially because, I don't know, for me, I often take my cue of how I'm supposed to feel off of how the other characters are reacting. And everyone else is pretty broken up about it. Seems really serious.
Yeah. So Buffy naturally blames herself for the fact that Willow is in a coma. She says, I shouldn't have let her do the curse. I just want to push back slightly and say that it's not really the curse that was the problem here.
Nope.
It's the falling for the trap. It was maybe doing the curse in a place that was very attackable.
Even curse aside, I don't know if Angel knew that they were attempting the curse. I think we think that they knew, because we have not seen him talking about the curse. As far as we know, he crashed the computer. The monitor. It's not how computers work. He broke the orb of Thessala, and he killed Jenny. As far as he knows, that's the end of it. But I think he probably knew that they were, because they wanted to distract Buffy so they could kidnap Giles. So theoretically, even if they weren't attempting the curse and they were just researching at the library,
they're still in just as much danger. Yeah,
right. Exactly. The exact same thing would have happened if she weren't attempting the curse, if she had just like literally been on the computer researching. So yeah, hun, definitely like dial back. You're fine. Like that is not the problem here.
So another moment in this scene that wrecked me is as Buffy is blaming herself, she very gingerly moves a piece of hair on Willow's forehead, and it's a very you love your friends so much.
Yeah, well, everybody does. It's Willow.
So then Xander says her parents are on the way. He had forgotten to call Oz. Oops, I had a question about where Oz has been again. Come on, guys, include Oz and stuff. And then Cordelia comes in too, and she's also we see some seriousness from Cordelia too.
Definitely.
She's bummed at herself for running. She asks about how Willow is, and she's clearly shaken up, and it was just a nice little 3-dimensional moment from Cordelia.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's nice to see this side of her. I mean, we've definitely seen her serious at times and definitely seen her caring in her own way. But yeah, this was, I think, much like everybody else, it's different when it's Willow. So
yeah, good point. So, and then they realize Giles isn't there. Oh, shit.
Oh no, but where is he? He's at the mansion about to be tortured. And I wrote down a quote, an Angelus quote. I mean, the last time I tortured somebody, they didn't even have chainsaws. Love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life.
That's true. Whatever you're going to do, really set your mind to it. That's the moral here, I think.
Yeah, do what you do and do it well.
Yeah, good. Good for you, Angel. If you're going to torture well.
Uh-huh.
So so Angel wants Giles to tell him how to awaken Akatha, and there's some ominous music happening, and then we cut to Buffy's house where, fun fact, the same asshole detective from Ted is here. I think I remember when we did that episode, I remember hating this detective. I think we both
certainly
hated
hate him now.
Yeah.
He has this snide look on his face like he's enjoying it.
He's acting. He has this line. He says, "You call us if she decides to stop by," and he's saying it as if he like it's both. It's like condescending. He sounds like a mobster. Like I
get if he was being a piece of shit to like the perp. Like, I mean, not like you should be, but like I could sort of get it. But like, this is the mom. You think she just like this is sweet, normal Joyce who's like worried about her child, and you're just like, well, you blah, blah, blah. Like, oh
just
my
like
God.
instantly, he totally assumed that she was just lying when she was clearly like, I don't know where the hell she is. What do you mean Willow's hurt? What?
Right.
What is happening?
Yeah, she said she was at Willow's. And he's like, oh, would that be a Miss Rosenberg? This guy.
Second victim. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, seriously. Like, ugh. Talk about poster boy for ACAB. Anywho.
yeah. This episode makes the case for police divestment.
Yep. So Buffy is looking for Giles. So she logically goes to Giles' apartment. And she sees that she meets Whistler for the first time. And he's like being cryptic and, not quite giving her straight answers. And she says, if you're going to crack jokes, then I'm going to pull out your ribcage and wear it as a hat. Beautiful imagery.
Beautiful imagery. And I'm happy for her. Yeah, I feel like characters in scenarios like these, they have no sense of urgency. Come on, people.
None.
What?
And you're supposedly here to help.
Right.
So why don't you, hi, this is who I am. This is what I know. Here's how I can help.
Yeah, Whistler, you are the antithesis of unhelpful here.
Yeah, it's like they're like, well, I'm Mr. Cryptic Dude. I have to be cryptic in all situations.
Like, do you really have to be?
Get your shit together. Time sensitive.
I also like when Buffy, right before the glorious ribcage comment, she shoves him up against the wall and she goes, I've had a really, really bad day.
Yep. Yeah.
You have indeed, sweet thing.
Which says a lot for her because she's had a lot of pretty bad days.
Yep.
And then Whistler's like, this wasn't supposed to happen. Like he says nobody saw you coming. What?
You introduced Angel to her. Yeah.
You literally knew that she was gonna get called soon enough that you got this guy and like knew enough about destiny or what was supposed to be from the powers that be, whatever, that you were like, here's somebody you should meet. So, like, what do you mean no one saw you coming? What? I don't understand.
Yeah,
this doesn't... Okay. Okay, so he says that he thought that you two were supposed to avert the apocalypse, not cause it. I mean, maybe he says, like, no one saw you coming.
Girl, I knew I could just tell from your facial expression that is where you were going.
The only way that line makes sense. Man, I mean, like, I knew that you were going to be a good influence on him, but like, I didn't see you coming. God.
I have subtitles turned on, and that is not the way they spelled it was very clear about what he meant by that. So he says something like, oh yeah, it's that line where he's like, yeah, he was supposed to avert the apocalypse, not cause it. And I was like, okay, Anakin Skywalker, this is total chosen one. This never works out how you think it's going to work out.
No, come on. I mean, like, watching That's So Raven when you get visions and stuff, it's never like exactly the way you see it, or what you see doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means.
Yeah.
So dumb.
He has this line that I am going to come back to in a roundabout way during my hot takes section, but he has this line that says, in the end, you're always by yourself. You're all you've got. That's the point.
Lies.
Yeah.
We've literally proven on Buffy so many times that actually the whole point is that she's not alone.
That is not the point. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely not the point.
That is the opposite of what this show has been about.
It's also not his point, because he, again, going back to him introducing Angel to Buffy, it's like, so his whole point was for them to have association, which then by definition they wouldn't be alone.
Yeah. Whistler, Your character is stupid.
That's why I hate prophets. Any kind of prophet, any kind of seer, any kind of messenger, they always have to be cryptic. They're like, well, I can't give it all away. I can't like give you all the information. It's like, oh, but you could. You're just choosing not to.
Right. Yeah, you are making this difficult needlessly. Yeah, you're so right. The prophet thing. I don't like it.
I don't
like it.
Not that it sounds like he's a mouthpiece, not the actual prophet, but still, my point still stands.
Still unhelpful. Okay.
Yep. Then my next note is Spike! Spike, 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 Spike!
Yeah, so we have kind of moody Buffy walking outside and a cop. Again, cops not.
And I don't know what she thought was going to happen because she kind of walks toward. She doesn't immediately like turn and run. It's like, well, you ran once. Why not? Why are you?
Yeah.
I don't know what you thought was going to go differently this time. But right. I guess I did forget some of the like small points of this episode because I was like, oh shit, what happens now? And then boom, I was like, who is this? And then it revealed Spike. So I was like still surprised. I was like, ah.
And it's like Spike has come to save the day. Yeah. Spike. Well, this is another moment though where I think if I were watching this as it was airing, I would see that moment. And you know, when I saw him now rewatching it, I had great relief because I knew what was happening. But I think I would have watched this while it was airing and been like, shit, this girl cannot get a fucking break. Now she's gonna have to fucking fight Spike now. Oh my god.
That's funny. Yeah, no, that's true. That could definitely be how someone would take it. But yeah, I brought this up last episode when we were talking about like, why would you even want to raise a Kafla? I'm with you, Spike. He's like, I like this world. It's comfortable. It's got walking Happy Meals. Why would I want to destroy this world?
Yeah, I love that they check that logic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it really doesn't make sense if you dig into it.
No.
And part of the reason Spike is so spooked about the world ending is because he thinks Angel could actually do it.
Yeah.
And then he has this line, he says, I want Drew back. Dude, Angel didn't steal Drew for like he didn't enchant Drew.
Yeah.
Drew was a hoe. That's the
line that I wrote down was the whole earth may be sucked into hell and you want my help because your girlfriend's a big hoe. Yeah.
I love no shit taking Buffy so much.
She has no time to be kind. And really no reason to be kind in this situation particularly. But yeah, I mean, she essentially ghosted your ass and then like got back with her ex. Like this bitch has been like flirting and tempting him like all in your face and you want her back? Love's a fool.
Yeah, I would argue that it's even a little worse than ghosting because it was done in front of him.
Yeah.
Like with the goal to be a bitch.
Right. And after everything he's done for her.
Everything. Yeah. Spike, you were too good for her.
Yeah. Real truth. Like, that's not even going to make it into hot takes because I think everybody would be on that side. Yeah, Spike's too good for Drusilla.
Like, Spike is going to align with his sworn enemy, mortal enemy, to win this bitch back. She would not do the same. She won't even not fuck somebody in front of you.
She doesn't give a fuck about you. She's like the worst kind of hoe because the second she got her shit together, she was like, bye.
Right.
Bitch.
Fucking
bitch. Yeah, there we go.
She's like, never mind. I'm not going to finish that sentence. Okay, we're going to move on. I almost got myself into trouble.
Okay.
Spike, or Buffy says to Spike, I hate you. And he says, and I'm all you've got. Which I would again argue with. But I do like the Sarah Michelle Gellar delivers that line in such a way that she's like, it's like one of those like resigned and angry, and it's just yeah.
It was a good moment, and it was like I hate you, and you're right, which is even worse, which makes me hate you more.
Right? Yeah,
she needs his help. You know, she's not alone, but right now she absolutely needs somebody.
Yeah, she certainly can't take on Spike, Drusilla, and Angel together. Like, he is right, and that sucks. It's just a glorious, resigned moment from Buffy, and, well done.
Yep.
So they are back at the hospital.
Jinx, personal jinx, not Goodwood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ha! Naomi Coco.
All right. Well,
sorry, I just pulled that out of nowhere. I don't know why I'm so punchy.
that
Anywho, so we're
makes
at the
okay.
hospital, and finally someone calls out that someone mentions Oz. So I love this. It's a knife twist that you wouldn't expect me to enjoy, but Xander finally says I love you to Willow, which, like, whatever, you're best friends, like, of course you love each other. I don't think it's a big deal to say. But then she starts to wrestle awake and asks for, and is like, Oz, starts calling out for Oz. I'm like, ha! You don't deserve it.
Yeah, you
Xander.
waited too long, Xander. You discovered your love for her as she's sitting there in a coma with brain damage, as far as you know. Wow, cool.
Which, like, I think is strange that they're trying to make, like, because that's clearly the moment that they were trying to craft, was him finally coming to this realization and, like, you're too late, calling out for Oz. I don't really buy that from the characters at this moment. I don't really see that that's where Xander is. I didn't really think it was romantic love.
Yeah, I felt conflicted about if he was because I wasn't exactly sure if he was saying I love you in a romantic sense. If I'm parking my Xander slander at the door, which is difficult for me to do, Allie, but I'm going to try to do it.
I'm aware.
Then this monologue that he had to her was really heartbreaking and vulnerable, and I thought it was moving.
Right.
And I look at it a whole lot nicer if I am choosing to be charitable and say that Xander was not saying I love you romantically.
Yeah, I don't buy it from him in that moment. Like, the relief when Cordelia comes in and they hug, like, I don't know. I just, and everything that they've been through, I just don't quite buy it there.
But they were clearly trying to send them yeah. It's kind of like confusing messages because I
think that's what they want us to read and what they're trying to set up. But just like where the characters are at and kind of like what Xander's giving us in that moment, I didn't read it like that. I just read it as like his heartbreak of seeing his best friend in the whole wide world, in a fucking coma.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually am not gonna hate on him too hard here. Yeah, it really is interesting that we
get to Xander slander later. Like this, there's a time for it.
It is interesting that they are trying to set this up though as like some sort of like,
and maybe they weren't.
Willow's finally shooting him down. No, I think that's what they were trying to do. It just didn't go. It didn't go like according to plan, given everything else we know in this episode. Yeah. Well, whatever. So Oz is there and is adorable as always. Willow says, "My head feels big. Is it big?" And he says, "No, it's head sized." And he gives her a forehead kiss.
Forehead kisses are the best. Also, they sort of acknowledge that he hasn't been around because he was like, "Curse? What?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, Cordelia will explain." So maybe he's like been off on like a little tour with the band. Like maybe he's literally been away.
Well, they don't say that, and I think that's ridiculous. I'm mad for him. I agree with your interpretation of it, but I'm mad that they didn't make that clearer because like Oz is not some absent boyfriend, and I won't have this show making him appear like he is by just being gone from episodes randomly.
I'm with you.
I won't do it, Allie. Yeah. I'm not going to stand for it.
You're right. He should have been in Becoming Part 1.
Well, what can you do?
Well.
So Willow asks, "Is everybody else okay?" And Giles is definitely not okay.
No.
So Angel sits down very sadistically and cleans off Giles' glasses. The end table next to him is extremely dusty, and I know that we're evil, but that is no excuse to be a slob, Angel. I'm not about it.
See, this is why mansions are dumb, because it's just so much to keep up with.
Just more surfaces for dust to collect. You're right.
Yep. And I bet, they hire cleaning people and then they just end up eating them. Like, like if you can't clean it yourself and you're not going to pay for a cleaning service or keep the cleaning service alive.
Maybe there's vampire cleaning services.
Interesting thought.
You think so? Do you think they're probably not?
Well, they have lackeys. They clearly have lackeys that they like send off in errands and stuff. Like, clearly you have bitch boys. Like, make them clean.
Yeah.
They're willing to go fight the Slayer and die. I bet there's one that would be like, you know what?
Rather than going,
I'll clean the whole house if I don't have to go chase down the Slayer.
I would like some Buffy canon to weigh in here, please, and let us know how they navigate that. So Buffy and Spike arrive at her house.
But we get some wonderful Giles being a tough ass, being just awesome, not giving into the what was that face you made?
No, I agree. I think we have two Giles badass moments.
Yeah, no,
he's been one I like.
He's been awesome. Because he says he's like, oh, the ritual.
No, that one comes later.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. But still,
this one,
he's
he says
he's being really tough, and I don't know if I would stand up to torture like at all.
Yeah, I think I would buckle. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll sell all of you out.
Yeah, I mean, with the right leverage, like if you implicate my dogs or something, well, I guess that's more of the like mind games that he gets into later. Whatever. I wouldn't stand up to physical pain either. If I have a hangnail, I don't work that day, so I'm definitely not gonna.
I'm gonna call your boss. Be like, did you know? That time he said he was sick. It was a hangnail.
It's a hangnail. You know.
So, Spike and Buffy are headed to her house when they run into Joyce. Who they do have a somewhat good cover story of being in a band. I mean, if you look at Spike, you're like, yeah, you're in a band. But yeah, I mean, it's not definitely not a cover story that holds up to scrutiny, but they don't have to for very long.
Yeah, true. I love how Joyce is she's strangely adorable in how panicked she is. And when so they slay the vampire in front of her. By the way, when the vampire pops out, that's one of the most genuine reactions from a human to a vampire that we've seen. She just shrieks, and Buffy goes, "Mom, I'm a vampire slayer." And there's just this blank look from Jace.
Great
like,
look.
What?
Yeah, like not entirely blank, but like not immediately thinking she's crazy, and not like and she does scream, but she doesn't scream her head off like the whole time. You know, she's surprised, but ultimately keeps her cool in a pretty surprising way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good stuff here, Joyce. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's been
not good stuff in a few minutes, but good stuff here.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that for sure. So next we see Buffy is in the kitchen on the phone with Willow, getting an update on everything, and Buffy has clearly changed clothes. Or I guess she's taken her jacket off or whatever. But very notably, she's wearing her angel cross.
She is. How full circle is this?
Very interesting. Yeah, and also speaking of full circle, she's once again gotten dressed to go kill Angel.
Oh yeah.
So, which is interesting. What how do you pick out your outfit,
Yeah, you've brought that up before.
I did, yeah.
Logistics of like, what a strange thing to think through as you're planning out your outfit.
And normally I can justify why she's wearing her angel cross, but I would think in this moment she would want to divorce herself from her romantic feelings of him. So it is surprising that she would choose this of all crosses.
Yeah, especially when we've seen her wear many, many, many other different kinds of crosses. Oh,
yeah. She does not want for choice.
Yeah, it's good for the symbolism of the episode, but an odd character choice. I agree. As she's talking to Willow, you can kind of see over her shoulder, there's a picture of a little girl who I'm assuming is Buffy, like in a pool, like swimming. And I'm choosing to believe that it's Buffy. And in that case, it's very interesting that in this episode that's so much about Buffy becoming and maturing and like the awful world, like this positioning of this picture of her as a baby right behind her.
The juxtaposition of like innocence and happiness and youth. Yeah, that is a lovely moment. I didn't pick that out.
So she says to Willow, like, oh, yeah, and I got an unbelievably lucky break. And
wouldn't believe you if I told you.
There's this hilarious image of Spike and Joyce just sitting together in the silence.
Yeah, and then Joyce says, have we met? And he says, you hit me with an axe one time. And he's like get the hell away from my daughter. And she's like, oh, yeah.
As one does.
Yeah, and then I have a kind of ironic note because I had Joyce handling things like a champ, which I think what I meant was she just saw a vampire slayed and she's like kind of keeping her cool.
Yeah, she's sitting there,
Right.
while her daughter was like, BRB, gonna go call my friend real quick. Yeah.
Right. So she's definitely like trying to be cool and rational. Doesn't immediately call the cops on site.
Mhm.
At least tries to open a space to hear Buffy's side. And then quickly goes downhill from there.
I'm really hoping that me and you get into a good faith debate uh, about the merits and demerits that we give Joyce here. It sounds like we might be
I
kind of
think
on
we're
the same
pretty
page.
aligned. I do it's awful, but I enjoy her line. Honey, are you sure you're a vampire slayer?
Have you tried
Not
not
being
being a slayer? We know what this is an allegory for.
absolutely, which definitely
Yeah,
makes this whole scene the gayest moment of this episode.
Buffy
Buffy
gaze.
gays. I think you'll agree with me on this one. This is very clearly an allegory for coming out, and unfortunately, Joyce does not rise to the occasion. Although I guess
She
I can
says,
I can kind of give some in her favor of like that's dangerous. Like clearly what she's doing is dangerous, but I guess some people have made that argument about being gay as well. So
"Well, being gay during is a little dangerous.
it,
The men
yeah.
men are not nice. They will ruin your heart,
Mm.
and I'm just saying. Luckily, so another hilarious line from her is she says, "It's because you didn't have a strong father figure." And I just think
This is all
I
it all just piles up on that evidence of like this is a metaphor.
it's just and I mean this part is done. This scene is funny
Yes.
as well, and then it gets not funny,
Yeah.
but it's funny as Buffy and Spike are strategizing, and she's trying to get a question in, and
Right.
Buffy's like, "Mom, shut up."
Right. Right.
I don't know. It's yeah.
Yeah. And I do get for a moment, because Buffy says, I don't have time. And Joyce says, well, make time. I've been in the dark for so long. Make time to explain to me, make me understand. And that I understand, that I get. Because this is not the first time she has tried to talk to Buffy about what is going on. Again, we totally understand why Buffy like hasn't told her up until now. But I do get that this isn't exactly like the first time she's asked Buffy, like, how's school?
Yeah, and I give Joyce some grace here because the cops just showed up and Buffy's implicated in a murder
Murder.
and somebody just turned to dust in front of her, and there's this weird story about a band, and it's just like, girl, what the fuck, Buffy?
And this
You are going
person
to
you
sit
just brought
down
into my
and
house was like literally attacking me before. That's where
yeah,
she
right.
met him before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can really see Joyce go through a lot really quickly here. Like at first she's like, "Oh, we'll just call the cops, they'll understand." Like she's totally denying it. And then she gets pissed. And then she's like trying to like bargain with her. Like it's totally a grief thing that's happening. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I totally agree with everything, all of Joyce's reaction
Mhm.
until
Until.
the thing that
Yeah.
she said that you cannot say.
Right. Well, and Buffy says something that I don't think is quite fair, or at least like the wording. And I think this is one of the times we've talked about this where in real life you don't have the right thing to say or the nice or the well crafted thing to say like on the top of your tongue. And so I do give Buffy in this instance grace because that she was blindsided by this whole like she never intended to have this conversation. She probably would have thought it out better if she had planned it. But I do think I just kept wanting her to be like say something a little bit better about like no, instead of just like saying no I can't, being like this is time sensitive, there are people relying on me, like someone's in danger, like trying to communicate. It's not that I don't want to talk to you about this, it's that like I have to go right now. I don't mean it, I'm not exaggerating when I say end of the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah, she's almost doing, and me and you both will both step in front of a moving vehicle for Buffy. But she's doing it in a way, the Whistler thing, where it's like, really, if you kind of
Evading,
lay
pushing
things out
away.
here, yeah, a little
Mhm.
bit. She does word it in a way to Joyce. I wrote it down.
How many times have you washed blood out of my clothes and still have?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's how
don't
many times?
call her
Right, she says,
stupid.
how many
Come
times have you
on.
washed blood out of my clothes and you still haven't figured it out? I don't like that with like, you haven't figured it out. No concept of what Joyce would have possibly connected those dots would have landed at Vampire Slayer. Nothing. Now, she might have thought that, like, oh, really? I guess she really is getting into as many fights as her principal says, but there's no way she ever would have come to that conclusion. And you know it. That's not fair to say, Buffy.
I wonder if there's a part of Buffy that wishes desperately that Joyce had figured it out and like would never tell her herself because cosmic duty and you're not allowed to. But I wonder if that it does not make it okay, but if that, like, she's not calling her stupid because she genuinely thinks she's stupid. She's like saying that because she is deeply hurt and has wanted her mom to
I think it would have been
know.
easier on her if she had figured it out. It would have been a loophole. Be like, oh, it's not my fault. She figured it out. That would have been nice. Yeah. I do think also potentially that particular phrasing is also part of the allegory-ness of it, because I definitely think there are certain kids who get to a point where they're like, hasn't it been obvious literally my entire life that I'm gay, that I'm trans, that I'm non-binary, whatever, any other identity that you've had to come out for? Like, I bet there's a lot of parents who are still in denial, and they're like, come on, the writing is on the wall.
Yeah, why are you making me come out? Like, why can't... Oh my God, Allie,
So maybe that saves that line.
You took that allegory farther than I did. Holy shit, Allie!
Well, I mean, it extends the whole way to her kicking her out. I mean...
Yeah, it does.
The number of people who have done that, which I think I've talked to my parents about this a bunch. It's just like, because ages ago I asked my mom, I was like, what would your reaction be if I came out as gay or whatever? She's like, I wouldn't care. I just, actually what she said is, I would be sad for the tough times ahead of you.
Yep.
But I wouldn't care. And I was just, what she's
very honest and reasonable.
Oh yeah. And what she said, she was like, I can't understand people who would ever react by like kicking them out. That is the like complete opposite of everything that you are as a parent, you know?
Yeah, and I get that like Joyce's world has just been turned upside down, and I too have said things in the heat of the moment that I would never normally say, but there are also things that even in the heat of the moment I would never say ever.
Not. It'd be like that and like, I hate you or I don't love you, that kind of thing. Like, those are on those, like, no, you would never say this list.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I just, this was a disappointing moment also because that is unlike Joyce. Like, we have not known, like, we have known Joyce to make, like, we have like critiqued some of her decisions rightfully and given her a lot of credit rightfully, but this is far out of character.
Well, other stuff was like within the bounds of doing your best, and your best isn't always great. But yeah, it's just, and it's not like she shouts, "Get out," and then like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I said that. Like, that's a long enough sentence that like you had time to stop saying it.
Right.
And you can tell the second she walks out of the door that she immediately regrets it, but she also doesn't go chase after her.
Right. Yeah. You could totally
not that she'd catch
her. Right. Yeah. Agreed entirely.
Disappointing Joyce moment.
Poor Buffy.
I know, but the last thing she needed on top of all of this, as if she didn't have enough going on.
Right. Yeah. This was like that time where somebody's like, at least it couldn't get any worse, and then it did.
You said it. You said the magic words.
Right. Okay, so I think we're back at the hospital. Yep. Mm-hmm. Willow said she wants to try again, and everybody's like, maybe not. Don't do that.
Yeah, and that's when Oz says, I missed out on some stuff, didn't I? Because this is all making a kind of sense that's not.
What an Oz way to say that.
I know. I love the way he says that.
I am glad that we get a dose of typical Cordelia here. Xander's like, Cordelia, will you back me up in that Willow shouldn't do this? And Cordelia says, you should listen to him. The hair, it's so flat in the lips.
Then he's like, she's like, what? Like, I was backing you up. That was me backing you up.
Right. This stubbornness that Willow
Resolve
has.
Face. Don't you see Resolve Face?
I saw
So
a whole
cute.
lot of Alexandra Louise Press in there. That is something that if you feel in your bones that it is the right thing to do, and it is that was an Allie thing to say 1,000%.
I could not be more flattered to be compared to Willow. Aw, thank you.
It is a well-earned comparison.
I love that. Well, thank you.
Now, when you start practicing witchcraft, I have a list of people for you too. So,
I think we're still quite a ways from that, but if that ever does come to pass, I will let you know.
Thanks, doll. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So here is the second Giles badass moment.
Yeah.
Him being a stubborn mofo. I cut you off when you started to say what the line was before, and that was an injustice.
I didn't write it down.
He says, in order to be worthy, you must perform the ritual.
I don't remember it.
In a tutu.
In a tutu, that's what it was. I was expecting him to say naked, so I think I kept blocking out what he actually said because I was expecting him to say like naked.
One can hope.
I mean, if you're gonna do witchcraft and spells and shit, like, I don't know.
And you're sexy like that, like, yeah.
I mean, he honestly he should perform all rituals naked.
Yeah.
If you got it, flaunt it. Yeah,
right.
But in a tutu, that was awesome.
So that pisses Angel off, and Spike comes in because at this point, Buffy and Spike have made the agreement that if Giles dies, Drusilla is also going to die. Yep. And Spike is like, probably don't kill him because I don't want to get librarian out of the carpet, which is a pretty funny thing to say.
And Angel calls him sit and spin. Yeah. That's so fucking rude.
He's so rude. That is so rude.
But I guess in Angel's defense, it is Spike's fault for still pretending to be lame at this point. He could have revealed a long time ago that his legs work.
Yeah. It's odd, but I guess it works out for him that he can catch them by surprise. Yeah. So Buffy's back at the library getting stuff, and Snyder is still there. We can just continue having questions about.
Yeah. He says, you've proved to be too much of a liability for this school. So you let her be framed for murder? Like, yeah. What? Like, he says that, like, basically what he's saying, because she's like, I didn't do this. And then his response to that is not, I think you did. I think you're lying. It's, you're too much of a liability anyway.
Yeah. He calls attention to the fact that Sunnydale police are deeply stupid. Yeah, does not contest that she is innocent.
Yeah. And this is where I said, like, there's a possibility that he does know, which is, like, weird. Because if he does know, then why wouldn't he be on her side? I don't know. Maybe he's bitter that, I don't know, like, just his control freakness doesn't like the idea of someone else working in the same field. I don't know. So maybe he really doesn't know.
His motivations are strange because he doesn't like, you see him, it's not like he is totally evil or he could orchestrate the school like being a lot more chaotic and death filled. Yeah. We've seen him not like when vampires cause a mess for him,
right?
But then he's also I don't totally understand.
I think
his
he
motivations.
must not know because like maybe he's too low on the food chain of the Sunnydale underbelly that maybe some people at the top, like maybe the mayor does know, but wouldn't tell him. Because also what leads on the, like, he's actually an asshole, not just a teacher who's fed up and doing the right thing, is that like if you yes Buffy gets into a lot of fights, but if you actually looked at them, like if you actually talked to people surrounding the event, you would find that she's ending the fights,
Right.
saving people.
She's involved in fights.
Right.
She does not
She doesn't start them.
Start fights.
Yeah, and like the number of times that those fights ended in her saving people. And like, I mean, just back to school night. If we're just talking about that instance, it's like, well, she saved everybody at back to school night. So
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, very puzzling. I don't understand this line she says at the end. She says, "You never ever got a single date in high school, did you?" And he says, "Your point being?" And other than just being a savage dig,
yeah.
I don't know exactly that dating in high school is an indication that somebody's not a petty or good person.
Well, I think the idea of it being just like you're just a sad, angry little man.
You have never been likable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like you've always been like you're just like always been bitter. I think that's more of what it is. Not like it's justifiable, or like if he had been popular in high school, he wouldn't still be a dick. I think it's more like you're just constantly punishing everyone around you for your sad little life.
Yeah. And I guess dating's on her mind because she's about to kill her, ex-boyfriend.
Right. Well, and
I feel like the line could have been like, "You don't have any friends, do you?"
You go home alone every night, don't you?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I also think like from the perspective of a high schooler, that is your world. So just the idea of like your social, that is your social circle, and not the idea of like sometimes it sucks in high school and it gets better in college, or I don't think she's thinking that far.
Right. So she she walks out very calmly with a sword, and
which he doesn't seem that surprised by.
Yeah, he seems like he leans back, but I'm like, dude, you just framed her for murder. I would be very careful.
And also just like
her.
a sword out of nowhere. Like I didn't see any like sputtering, like what the hell are you doing with that? Like I was very surprised.
He calls the mayor and says he calls somebody and says he has good news for the mayor. Right. So that's strange. Oh, also side note too, I did look it up, and a principal cannot unilaterally expel a student. So not when surprising. He said, when like he took such glee in that, like she undoubtedly would have been expelled, but that was premature.
Absolutely. If he put it in works, if he put it in motion, there would be more than enough grounds for her expulsion as far as like what's on paper.
Yeah, but but
that's not an official thing to just say it. You're expelled. Like, okay, don't show up to school on Monday because you're expelled. Like, it doesn't work that way.
That's not how that works. Yeah. Idiot, stupid troll.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that mayor comment is still strange, and still it almost seems like they were planting seeds for something that didn't quite come to fruition.
I think that's exactly what it is. Actually, that makes more sense.
They've dropped a couple hints, and it just seems like maybe bigger things ended up being the main plot line, and it just didn't get visited.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of
sense.
Again,
I want that like prequel side spin-off show about like
of the mayor.
Yeah, like Gotham. Yeah. Where it's really about like the police and like the underbelly and stuff. It's like the heroes aren't the actual like main thing. There's so much there. There's so much so fruitful.
We've brainstormed a few Buffy spinoffs. We talked about a Giles prequel, the Mayor prequel. We talked about a Kendra side thing.
Oh, yeah. It's right.
There's
right.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Well, we'll see.
So we're back at the mansion. Poor Giles. Just poor Giles.
Poor Giles. Yeah. And now Drusilla gets involved.
Yeah. Which that is an effective method. It works.
Yeah, makes him hallucinate that Jenny is there. Jenny is not very convincing, but she is sultry and sexy. And I think it does speak to Giles that unimaginable pain doesn't make him break, but it's the woman he loves.
And I think maybe also Drew's hypnosis it's not just the hallucination, because he does fight it initially, like, no, we have to go, like, what are you doing here? This isn't real. But I think some of it also affects like his pliability, or like lowers his defenses. I think it's more than just like literally what he's seeing differently. I think it probably
Yeah, I think you're right.
alters his state of mind as well. But I do love Drew getting caught up in the kissing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're like, Drew, Stella, we're done.
Yeah.
I have a costume note. This is the first time I think I've said, no, it's not the first time I think I've said, Angel has a hideous belt buckle. Hideous.
He
Yeah,
is a little extra in this episode. I think this is like one of the first times we've seen him in those leather pants.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely like a leaning into the like bad guy vampire.
Yeah. And the way he says, so he gets the information, Angel gets the information he wants out of Giles, and he's like, okay, kill him. And Spike's like, don't do that. And Angel's like, you're right, don't kill him. And it's just really interesting. We see him, Angel is starting, like, we know him as somebody who's so methodical and calculated, and that's part of what makes him so scary. And he's starting to come unhinged a little bit.
I think so. Yeah, like very one-track minded, for sure. Looking to make this happen.
So, I think we're back at Giles' house. Buffy has gone to see Whistler again. Whistler picks up a Grand Marnier bottle, which, fun fact for everybody, is my fiance Paul's favorite beverage. So everybody can send Paul some Grand Marnier. Thank you so much. And Whistler gives Buffy the same information that Angel's just learned from Giles.
Yes. Yep. Which, like, he definitely could have given to her earlier if he hadn't been so evasive and stupid.
Yeah. That trip back was kind of unnecessary.
Yep. Just wasting time. So then Buffy's heading to the mansion. She runs into Xander, and Xander says, Willow wanted to tell you, kick his ass, and fuck you, Xander, for lying.
Yeah, that is not true. That is not at all what she said.
Totally overriding with his own personal feelings. Just totally taking it out. Like, I never liked this guy, whatever. Who cares if she kills him?
Yeah, just so petty.
Yep. And, not that it's like entirely unwarranted or doesn't necessarily come out of nowhere, but like if Willow is saying, like, I would just use Willow as my barometer for anything ethical. And like Willow is the one trying to save him.
Yeah, Willow insisted on continuing this ritual the last time, which landed her in the hospital. Maybe, and you just said you loved her, maybe just be a good fucking friend.
Yep.
Deliver the message.
Yeah.
You're not endorsing the message, just deliver it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Dumbass.
Fucked up. So yeah, Buffy gets in there. Angel's like, oh yeah, you still think you're gonna take all of us? And she's not alone. She, then Spike comes in swinging. And then he grabs Drew. Drew doesn't want to go, and he says, I don't want to hurt you, baby. Hits her. Doesn't mean I won't.
I like the Spike is like wailing on Angel, and then Drew like launches her shell at Spike in the closed cap. I watch everything with closed captions on, and the closed caption for it is just in parentheses shrieks. It's so funny to me. As I don't know, I giggled. So Xander gets to Giles, and Giles is like, they're just, playing tricks on me, making me see what I want to see. And Xander goes, then why would they make you see me?
Oh, right. Let's go. I loved that. Yeah. There's a lot of Xander slander you could have, but at least he's self-aware.
Very
There's
true.
a point in his favor.
And that was objectively funny.
That was great. I love that. Oh, poor Giles.
Buffy is kicking ass.
Yep.
And then Angel wakes up, and we all collectively went, damn it, as he took the sword out of a coppola.
Yep. At some point in this, they've flashbacked to the hospital, and Willow is chanting and stuff. And how has no hospital staff come in?
they're burning sage. There is something smoking in that hospital room.
Right. Like maybe they brought all that stuff in like a low-key bag or something like that. So I get how they smuggled it in. But even if they didn't smell the smoke or hear the chanting, somebody's coming in to check vitals. Somebody. I've been in hospital enough times, you don't get that often, that long a stretch of time uninterrupted.
Especially because she very recently was in
coma.
a coma.
Yeah. So they're probably checking on pain meds, on fluids. Who knows what her tests are? Maybe she needs to take some more tests. Like, I would have loved a quick moment of like, Oz, man the door.
Barricade the door.
Or keep an eye out. Something.
Right. Yeah, just lack. Not super realistic. Yeah, I guess that may not be the most unrealistic.
It's not, and it's definitely not the most important.
But we do notice details. We are critical watchers, Allie.
We do.
So Buffy picks up the sword to. I've used this line that she says back to Angel. Angel, so a couplet is activated, and he says, "You're going to hell," and she says, "Save me a seat."
Ooh. So good.
These wide shots of the fight, I never picked up on it until this recent rewatch. It is super clear that these are Sunnydales. Like it is a Angel has a different hair color.
Oh no.
And a different frame. I mean, it's good. I still am into it, but
I guess that's not what I watch too clearly. Sometimes I try to look to see, like, when she does a tumble or something, it's like, is her hair still the same, like, kind of thing? Sometimes you can tell. I didn't quite notice that. What I did notice was Spike strangling Drusilla to knock her out.
Okay, thank you.
Vampires don't breathe. In your own system, you have established that vampires don't have breath. I guess they're just walking it back at this point, but like that theoretically should not work.
It does not bang it. And there were so many different things they could have done too. They could have done some
bash her over the head.
I don't know. Yeah. Chloroform would have been fucking dog is just sleeping the entire time and then decides to drink water as if she's never had water before. They could have done that so many different ways, but yeah, he instead puts her in a full Nelson and knocks her out through lack of air.
Right,
okay,
which she's dead. She doesn't need oxygen.
Yep. This moment that Willow has in the middle of this too, like we're kind of cutting back and forth between the mansion and the hospital. Mm-hmm. Willow starts to get winded, and then she like looks up and she's clearly started to channel something, and she just leans down and go, oh, so badass.
Super cool. Which I think shows there's a predilection or innate talent there. Like she's got something in her blood.
She is tapped into it.
Yeah. There's some kind of natural predisposition for it or something like that. Because I just don't think that anyone saying the right words, doing the right motions would still hit that level. Like that's what Giles says. Like, this is a really intense spell. Like, I wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So I think there we go. There's another potential offshoot. Someone in the Rosenberg line is a witch.
You're so right. Wow.
Maybe not since the witch trials kind of era, but like someone in her past,
someone powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
So then we're back at Angel and Buffy fighting. It's looking like Buffy's gonna lose. She's lost the sword, and Angel's talking about like, oh yeah, the Slayer and blah blah blah. Take all that away, and what's left? Me.
One of the most badass lines.
Yeah. Their eyes close and then her eyes snap open. Series. Oh, so cool.
And then she like catches the sword and hits him hits him in the face with the hilt of it.
Which
that
would
what is bitch. Yeah, and yeah, just so really cool moment. It's like when they were fighting in the movie theater and he says something that gets under her skin and then she's like, "Oh, fuck,
Yeah.
no." It was like a total another one of those where I don't know, something got activated in her and she's ready to throw down.
Yeah. There's a episode coming up next season called Helpless that line reminds me of.
Yeah.
And that's one of my in top 5 episodes. So can't wait to get to that
That's a
one.
good one. I'm going to get into episode rankings and I have something to say about Helpless and about this one.
Cool.
As Spike is driving away with Drusilla, Drusilla is still passed out inexplicably, and Spike pulls Drusilla close to him. Spike, she is the worst. Stop.
I know. Fool for love. It's just, yeah. I mean, toxic. It's, he's not the first to go back to a toxic relationship.
You're right.
Woof. Man. Yeah. So they're fighting, and then Angel doubles over. He looks up, totally different expression. I did have the reaction that like, oh yeah, only soulful Angel could look like that much of a little bitch. Because he just looks up and he's got this like scrunched face, like oh, like he's already tearing up and like he's already like in pain, and I was just like, oh well, now he just looks like a little bitch.
We are really driving up the juxtaposition from the two of them now, aren't we? Did we overdo it a little bit, guys? Just a little bit,
maybe. But it is a good acting moment though. Like the second he looks up, you know who it is. You can tell.
And I do forgive the cheese because this moment is.
It's an intense
there have
moment.
been a lot of heartbreaking moments. Yeah. It's like their song is playing the theme.
Yeah, the Buffy and Angel theme. Also, it has been established that the soul change is painful. Like it's a moment.
You're right.
I've never had my soul ripped or restored from my body, but I imagine it would be quite a thing. So I can see how that would also be an extreme thing.
Well, you don't gotta cry about it, you little bitch. Come on.
So of course.
Ovary up here, my dude.
Yeah, dude, come on.
Well, he says, I feel like I haven't seen you in months. Well, you kind of haven't.
Yep.
So, man, some pretty awkward things happened in the last few months here.
Yeah.
And her eye, like they hug and her eyes close and she's feeling all this relief, and then she sees Akatla's mouth open, and you just see the moment where she realizes what she has to do.
So I have feelings about this. I can save them for hot takes if you want, or I can just say it.
Fascinated that you have feelings about this. Well, do you have other hot takes to talk about? Are we taking up the hot take section if we...
I think this is the only hot take I have.
Okay, let's save it then.
Right.
Well, what do you think? Do you want to save it or do you want to do it now?
I just don't agree with how she solved this situation.
Oh, you're like, you didn't have to stay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. This is total, like...
I had that
This
thought.
is total Rose and Jack and the fucking door. Like, you didn't have to be a dumb bitch about it.
Don't you dare call my Buffy a dumb bitch. I will lean through the computer right now, Allie.
Hasty bitch? Will you accept hasty bitch?
I'll accept hasty bitch. I think that it was established, though, that was within...
His blood opened it.
What Whistler said.
What did Whistler say? He didn't say the only way to close it was kicking him all the way in.
I think that he said something like, it ends with him, or something like that. You're still like hasty bitch.
Unless he said it'll only take exactly a body's worth of blood. Because here's my thing. Okay, so I'll just say, I'm like, okay, so maybe in her like Slayer super brain, she was like, one cut's not gonna do it. Okay, what about an arm? Slice an arm off. You have the sword right there. It's not like she was fighting him with stake in hand. She has the sword. And then also goes back to the whole communications thing. Babe, I'm so glad you're back. You have missed a lot.
I got some news for you. Kind of time sensitive thing happening here.
Turn around. You see that? Okay. Slice off his arm. Chuck the arm in. Because also, here's the thing. Worst comes to worst. The arm doesn't work. You still push him in. But what if it did work? But if it works, he's still alive. He's just missing one arm. And you know what? He's eternal. Whatever. I would so much rather have a one-armed boyfriend than a no boyfriend.
Let me try and be a contrarian here for a few seconds. Okay. You totally have.
I was gonna say this logic is infallible. I don't know what you can say against it.
No, well, I think there's another reason why she would have gone ahead and killed him. But I will acknowledge that you have me on the. Hi, can you? Okay, turn around. Do you see that? Okay, you kind of did that, and we're in a bit of pickle. Do you happen to know anything about this guy? Because Angelus did, so maybe you do. And can you loop me in here and how on like creative ways that we might, solve this? I wonder if part of her was like, man, this dude, when he went evil, is a stone's throw away from ending the world. Listen, Angel, I love you. You're a sweet guy, but man, we cannot risk this.
Outweigh the pros. That is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But I
don't see that being her logic. If knowing that the spell worked, don't think that's her. I don't see her making that choice. Otherwise,
I don't know.
She wouldn't have even tried to do the soul restoration at all. I think she would have just killed him.
I think I do see the logic because we see many other examples of her being willing to sacrifice. Well, she's usually willing to sacrifice like herself. She doesn't really sacrifice the people she loves. Right. Yeah.
No, I think if she was going to come to that conclusion, she would have, and then she would have just gone after him, and she would have just beat his ass.
I think I got wrapped up in the poetry of the moment.
Oh, it's a beautiful moment.
I didn't super think about okay, well, this doesn't really.
I disagree that Whistler said something. I think I would have clocked that, knowing how I feel about this ending. If they'd said something explicit about once it's open, it's going to take the whole thing to go in.
Yeah, you were looking for reasons to like this ending more.
It's a beautiful poetic moment. Absolutely. It's like a lot of these things. It's like, if you just said this like one little line, cool, done. Like, in a horror movie, when they check their cell phone and they see that they have no reception. Cool, great, done. We got that out of the way.
Yeah, at least you checked.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that.
So one arm, who knows?
Right. Well, we'll never know now
because you did it.
Dude's in hell. Yep. Yeah. I'd be a little pissed too. I'd be pissed about it. Like, he stares shocked, and I would have been like, bitch, hello to you too.
I think I would have had a more range of emotions. Like anger, confusion, sadness, bewilderment. Like, I think I would have gone through a couple more than just like that one.
And ouch.
Also, ow.
Okay, miscommunication gets us again. Damn it, I hate when that happens.
I just feel like, you got to try. Because then once you've said it, if it doesn't go how, it doesn't magically solve everything, but now you will forever know that you said it.
Right. The instance of not knowing is pretty
so
painful.
Much worse.
Yeah, the questions that are left.
Anyways, so now in this beautiful moment, it is summed up and transitioned to the next day in the really only appropriate way, which is with a beautiful Sarah McLachlan song.
A Sarah McLachlan song, yeah. The 90s are really showing here, aren't they?
I had to look it up, but I was like, this sounds like Sarah McLachlan, which also I feel like maybe speaks to how well this show was doing at this point. Because a lot of the songs, or maybe she was still indie at this point. I don't know. I'd have to do research when she got big, but this
The ratings were strong at this
Yeah.
point. I looked them up.
So
They were it reached millions of people when it aired. Like, I guess that's making it,
I
right?
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, millions of
Successful
people
enough
tuning in at one time.
to bring in a named artist song for your finale. I think that makes sense. The song is called Full of Grace. Feels appropriate.
Mm-hmm. So Joyce walks up the stairs, and for a second, we're like, oh, she's going to run into Buffy, but she does not run into Buffy, and the closets are empty, and there's a note that Buffy is tipping.
Yep. Still curious what that note said. Yeah, really like to know what that note said. What do you think it said?
I had not even thought about that.
I don't know. Like, I don't think she would have said where she's going.
Well, we know she didn't say where she's going,
Right.
because that's left up to, like, that is a question of where she's going, even to the viewers at the end.
Right.
Of it.
It's not like the bus says where they're going or anything like that.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah. There's just probably a lot of hurt and devastation and rejection.
Yeah, I feel like she said something cryptic, like "I'm sorry" or something, like something simple, like not like actual information.
I don't want to know what that note said. I'm just happy. No, I don't want to know what that note said.
Yeah.
No, that's too sad.
You're right.
They're at school. Nobody's seen Buffy, and everybody is giving their theories of what happened, but we didn't talk about this. The sequence of events that happened was the worst combination. It would have been better if the curse didn't work, if the curse had worked, but at the worst time.
Yep. Yeah. No one talks about that. Also, no one talks about maybe she's just taking a day off, which would be my thought.
Yeah, maybe.
They're like, I just had an epic sword duel with my ex that I've been dealing with a lot, and just like this whole year has been a lot. I think I'm gonna play sick for a day, maybe 2.
Yeah, you're gonna need to communicate that, though, if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
rather than leaving me in the dark about if you're dead or not.
True. Yeah, I definitely would say would have like called. Did any of them say? I know I like just watched the episode, but like, did they say like if they had called her or not? I feel like they say like they called but didn't get an answer. Maybe.
I don't know, or if they just said I haven't heard from her and nobody's heard from her. I don't remember how exactly they worded it, because hopefully they would have done their due diligence too in reaching out to her. Willow has kind of a sad line. She says she'll be here in a while. It's one of those things where, like, those are the words she's saying, but the way she says it, she's totally trying to convince herself that Buffy
she doesn't believe it.
Not. Yeah. And then the camera pans out, and Buffy's watching them from behind a tree or something. Girl. And we see her riding a bus leaving Sunnydale.
Yep. In her travel outfit is very I was thinking about it because we've never seen her in clothes like that. Like, she has like super baggy jeans, very baggy hoodie. Surprised she even owns them. But I just had the dark thought of like, well, when you're a woman traveling alone, you want to be invisible.
Oh, I was more like, this is total sad girl.
Also
Buffy
sad
outfit.
girl Buffy outfit. I think my 2023 feminist brain just like takes it to like, yep, gotta be invisible, don't want to attract attention. That
is the experience of a woman versus
a teenager,
a guy.
or a guy. Yeah, because I mean, I've definitely done, like, my dad called it hobo chic when I travel, like on an airplane or something like that. Like, you got your leggings, got like your sweater, like beanie, definitely like your casual, like I'm just comfortable.
Hobo chic, I like that. I'm gonna use that. Okay, I do have hot takes.
Wonderful.
Can we do trivia first?
Of course.
I have a few, just a few. I don't have a whole lot this time. So Buffy says right before she stabs Angel, she says, "Close your eyes." And interestingly, that is the same thing Darla tells Angel before she sires him. Neat little connection. We talked about this. According to IMDb, this is the first time Xander has said he loves Willow. Picked a real fucking bad time to, say that for the first time, dude. At the end of the episode, like past the credits, you know how there's that monster that goes grr, arg. This time it says, "Oh, I need a hug."
Really?
Yeah, rewatch it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I didn't. Yeah. And I bet after watching this for the first time, people did need a
Aw,
hug.
yeah. Oh, that's so funny. I mean, today watching on streaming platforms, it goes right into the next episode, so it skips the very end of the credits.
Yeah, I had to stop it from skipping. According to several, okay, so there are sites out there that rank all of the Buffy
Mhm.
episodes. According to one, this is the fourth best out of all 144. Others ranked it as number 3 and number 8. This episode is consistently ranked among the highest of all Buffy episodes.
I guess I can see that. I mean mostly for the fight, I think.
Epic
Epic
fight.
epic
Epic fight.
fight. And
I would rewatch this for the badass Willow moment.
true. Like I don't think it would make my top 5. Maybe top 10.
I'd say top 10 for me.
I don't know. I think the sweet moment at the end for me gets caught up by me being like, you should have just tried chopping off his arm. Yeah, I think my logical brain gets so frustrated at like immediately jumping to the most extreme solution that I can't enjoy the sweet reunion.
That was truly the first time I had ever considered anything like that, Allie. Was you bringing it up 15 minutes
Anything
ago?
to save Angel.
Yeah, true.
Anything.
I like your creativity and your logic.
Yeah. I
Both
mean,
of
it's
them.
the same thought when
It
I
is both
watch.
very logical and very
Yeah, it's
creative.
the same thing, when I watch like West Side Story or something like that, when you're like, she just woken up like 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Hence the tragedy.
So,
all right, ready for your hot take.
okay. So it's interesting to me. There's a few interesting parts about this. So Becoming Part 1 was really about how Angel was becoming. Be like he's becoming the evil force, destroyed the world or whatever. This one is more about Buffy becoming. She gets kicked out of her house. She gets expelled from school. She almost dies. But as you, it was. I was just reflecting back on our conversation we had in the last episode about becoming, and it struck me that this was her becoming. And then I'm gonna get into like what I don't love about it. Also, it is interesting that the first season ended with Buffy physically dying and her friends brought her back to life. And then in this one, there was like other deaths of sorts for Buffy, and her friends were borderline unhelpful. Like Giles spilled the beans, which nobody blames him because he was being hypnotized, totally reasonable. Like Willow, the curse did work at the worst possible time.
Which maybe,
Xander,
but maybe
lets her
would have
down.
been a better time if Xander had not let her down.
True.
So
Very true.
Willow is absolutely taking care of her shit, and Willow's doing her job. Their communicator does not.
Yeah. But whereas in the first season, the most instrumental help she gets during this fight is from Spike, the villain. So it's just a odd arc that it's an odd, yeah. And I don't love how, so like a key theme of the show is that Buffy is strong in her own right, but that part of her magic as a slayer is that she has amazing friends. It's still important that it's established that Buffy is, stands on her own and is strong as her own and she doesn't need anybody else. But it doesn't, like, the end of the episode does not leave me feeling like it is in empowered self-sufficiency, but it's like she's alone and isolated. And that's sad.
Absolutely. When you said that, the first, part 1 is Angel's becoming, part 2 is her becoming, and it's like, but it's not a good becoming. It's not a positive, like her standing strong at the end of it. It's like you said, it's sad.
Yeah. It is her becoming like undone.
Yeah. I mean, which her becoming undone and also her willing to do the hard things as Slayer, the nearly impossible things, which I guess like in the grand scheme of things does make sense. This is not the last hard choice she'll have to make, be forced to make, kind of. But yeah, I agree. It's a really sad ending. It's not triumphant like season 1.
Yeah,
They're not all
it's not
walking
triumphant.
away to go to
that's
a party.
exactly it. Right. Yeah, they're all left wondering if she's alive. I mean, they assume she's alive because like the world hasn't ended. But yeah, and I just really think that if I had been watching this while it was airing, like I can now go right to season 3 and I'm good. But if I had just watched this in now we were waiting for season 3, I would be
devastated.
wrecked.
Yeah. Fucking ends with her leaving town, suspected of murder, kicked out of her house by her mom.
Right.
But woof.
She just killed her boyfriend. Yeah.
The love of her life.
Right. Yeah. But so so it's so odd to me that I would still rank this episode in the top 10, even though I don't love the takeaway.
That's why it was interesting. I was surprised to hear that it ranks so high. I think if I was doing like a separate ranking of like top Buffy fights, totally, absolutely. That sword fight, epic. It's classic. Definitely goes up there. This episode overall, though, it's also just hard for me to rank things like without parameters. Like, am I talking about like quality of writing? Am I thinking of like what was most impactful, what was most important, what was most enjoyable? Because I definitely wouldn't put this as most enjoyable. But yeah, hard to say.
Yeah, depending on the parameters, you could probably put just about.
That's why I'm terrible with like never have would you rather's, because like I always need to know the specifics. I always need to know like all the parameters. So I'm terrible with qualitative questions like that.
Ever the logical, delightful bitch.
Glad someone thinks so.
Yeah, so I think those are all my those are my hot takes, and I guess they weren't really hot takes because we both agreed on them.
Yep. Yeah. But looping back to my hot take that she should have tried chopping off his arm before she pushed him all the way in.
Yeah, that's totally true. Yeah, or he got the sword out with a slice on his hand. Why not try and slice the other one first? Right, that's the thing. Because
that's what I thought of for the first time. Like, it didn't take a lot.
Can we put the sword back with a little more blood?
Like, it didn't take a lot to unlock it. So how about locking it? Basically, what I'm saying is I would be a better Slayer than Buffy, clearly.
Okay, yikes. Well, that's going to be the audiogram, and you are going to have your address leaked online for that, I bet. Yeah. No, I know you said it in jest. You love Buffy. I'll be there to defend you, and then if need be, I'll kill you. Like,
but promise, you'll try chopping off my arm first.
Or more
even like try just like the hand. If that doesn't work, then try the whole arm.
Right. Well, we'll like work our way up. We'll even try 2 arms, because I would
rather be alive with no arms than not alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
cool.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Takeaway from the episode: I will chop off your arms before I kill you if the situation arises.
Same for you. I promise. I pledge the same for you. Wonderful.
Man, what a way to end this episode. That feels like an odd way to end season 2 of Tabula Rasa Bitches too.
So was her all sad, leaving on a bus. So they left it sad and weird. We'll leave it just weird.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Good. It's happy and weird because I'm so happy about this podcast and happy about this time I get to spend with you.
And what's happy and weird is that that's not the end. For all of you out there, you can just go watch the 3rd season. Right.
Got the truth. And pretty soon you'll be able to listen to season 3 of our podcast.
No, not like too soon, because like, don't rush me, but yes.
In the grand scheme of things, it'll be quick.
Absolutely be soon. All right. So on that note, I think that about does it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode, for all of these first 2 seasons episodes. Thank you. If you're still listening, hugs and kisses. You person right here listening, I love you. And we hope you'll join us next time where we will discuss season 3, episode 1, Anne.
Wow, that's wild. I actually didn't verify the title of the episode, so I hope I got it right. I think I remembered it right.
Anne.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to plug our social here for a second, but I also just want to echo Allie's gratitude for anybody listening out there, it's been such a fun passion project. And like Allie said at the beginning, we've been able to connect with so many people and, you know, make new friends, even if it's like commenting on each other's social media posts or finding new symbolism together or just laughing at memes together. It's been really meaningful and just
and thank you to
all.
everyone who
And
guested on the pod this year. Thank you. It's been so much fun. You added such a fun extra level, extra community to our show. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. If you're just too excited to wait until the premiere of season 3 to chat, send us an email at tabularasabpod@gmail.com. That is tabularasabpod@gmail.com. And you can also say hello to us on Instagram or TikTok at tabularasabpod. And Allie, where can people find you online?
People can find me on Instagram at daughterpick, DAUGHTERPICK. If you're still using that Twitter app, same title, same name, username. If you're on TikTok, you can find me at Future Black Cat. And if you'd like to throw this young budding artist some money, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Allie-Press, ALLIEPRESS, and also Allie-Press on Venmo.
All of those social media handles are going to be in the description. Allie, it's a treasure as always. I love you very much.
And I hope all of you out there make proud choices. We love you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Tabula Rasa, bitches, is hosted by Allie-Press and Nick Mercer, with music by Inflaton Cult, artwork by Charlotte Fleming Design, and consultation by Evo Terra.